What's going on, guys? Pat Damiano here, and today we are going to be learning how to do a kettlebell clean. And most importantly, we're going to be learning how to do that clean without bashing our wrists and forearms. So bashing your wrists and forearms is by far the most common complaint I get when it comes to doing kettlebell cleans. So I always make that my mission and number one goal when coming out of teaching somebody how to do a clean is to not do that or minimize it the best that we can. If there's a little bit of it when you're still new to them, it's okay, be ready for that. We're trying to avoid the big smash where it flops over and hits our wrists and forearms hard. So just keep that in mind as we go through this, and if it is not the cleanest or best clean in the world, but you're not bashing your wrists, then I'm happy. Because at the end of the day, when people bash their wrists hard, it is dangerous, people don't like to do it, and it makes them not want to use kettlebells, and I don't want that. So there's two different ways that we can go about this and two different ways that we can clean. The first one is going to be a dead clean where the kettlebell starts on the ground, and we bring it right up to our shoulders, back down, and up. If you are new to cleaning or fairly new to cleaning, I highly recommend starting with this one because it's going to be simpler. Now, the other way that you can do it that you've probably seen is a little bit more common is the swinging clean, where it goes between our legs and then we bring it up to our shoulders like so, swing, and then we're back up. This is slightly more advanced and you're more likely to hit and bash your wrists and forearms, which is why I say if you're new, I suggest starting from the floor. So we're gonna break this down into a bunch of different steps. First one is gonna be our setup, which is your kettlebell is going to be lined up in between your legs like so. If you are wearing shoes, the way I recommend it to people is the handle of the kettlebell should be lined up with where your shoelaces are tied, all right? So from there, we're gonna go into our first step, which is going to be a nice and simple single arm row. So our kettlebell starts with the handle like this, and then we just do an easy single arm row up, and we're turning our hand as we do this, keeping the elbow in nice and tight. That's gonna start this rotation, which is going to play a big factor when doing these cleans, because at the end of the day, the kettlebell is not flopping over our hand, it's actually rotating around, okay? So our second step from there is gonna be a single arm row with an assisted gunslinger. So I'm gonna do that row, take my other hand, cup the kettlebell on the bottom, and then just stand tall, nice and smooth. So again, we're here, single arm row, take the other hand, cup it into this assisted gunslinger. Now, when I'm in this position, my elbow is locked in tight, my wrist is basically against the top of my hip bone and my ribs, and this kettlebell is off to the side. It is not in line with my belly button, tucked off to the side. Again, we pull that elbow back when we did our single arm row. Then what we're gonna do is basically do that same exercise, those same two exercises, and just bridge the gap and do them in one smooth motion. So it's gonna look like this. Kettlebell's in our starting position. We're gonna do a regular gunslinger, extend up, and catch right here. So no pause in between. We're back down to the ground, catch. And I should be able to hang out here for a little bit and assess where I'm catching this kettlebell. Again, it's not in line with my belly button. My wrist and elbow are in line right here. I don't have the kettlebell tilted up, and my wrist is against my hip just like that, all right? From there, we are now gonna bring our other hand into the equation again as we do an assisted clean. So we're gonna do that gunslinger, pause for a second, and then we're just gonna basically finish the clean, but with a little assistance from this hand. So when we do this, there should be absolutely no bashing of the wrist because this other hand is helping as much as we need it to. This is kind of like a wax on, wax off type of thing where you just tell your body this is the path the kettlebell is going to go with as much assistance as you need, and then just slowly take that assistance away. So it's gonna look like this, all right? We're doing a regular gunslinger like we just did, pause for a second, and then using this hand, I'm just going to finish this clean and let this hand help as much as I need to. So I'm gonna show you from the side so you can see what my hand is doing, because realistically what happens is my hand is actually scooping up when I do this clean. Again, this kettlebell is not flopping over. So I'm here, I do my gunslinger, catch, and then this hand is going to scoop up as that kettlebell rotates around my wrist. Again, it is not flopping over, all right? From there, again, we basically do the same exercise, we just take that pause out. So now we're gonna do just a straight up assisted clean and let that other hand come into play. So kettlebell starts on the ground, keeping this hand handy, that was stupid. Keeping this hand handy, we're going to extend up and do this clean, just letting this other hand help. Again, I should have absolutely no bashing of the wrist. I shouldn't have this happening when using this other hand, because that's what the other hand is there for, is to assist and guide that kettlebell around the wrist so none of that bashing happens. And if you need to do your cleans like that for a month or two, that's totally fine. Like I said, the main goal of this video, or when you're doing your cleans initially, is to not bash the wrist. So if it's happening at all, adjust something, okay? So let's go into our final step. Now we're basically going into our clean. This hand is now off to the side. So we are right here starting from the ground. We should extend up, pull that elbow back, and this kettlebell lands nice and smooth on my wrists and forearms without bashing. Let me show you from the side so you can see what this elbow is doing, okay? It is going back, it is not going up and punching through. If you're someone who's familiar with barbell cleans, this is not that, and if you treat it as such, you're going to continue to bash your wrist and forearm. So let's check this out. Kettlebell starts on the ground. From here, I extend up, elbow comes back, and that kettlebell rotates nice and smooth around my wrist and forearm. All right, I'm gonna show you a bad one real quick. I usually don't do this, but watch my elbow. As my elbow comes up and punches through, I'm gonna do that every single time. So the elbow's gotta stay tight. It's why that gunslinger position is your best friend when doing a clean. All right, so now what we're gonna do is go into how to do a swinging clean. Now, we're basically just going to take these same exact steps we just did and add them into a swing, all right? So we're gonna skip a few steps. The single arm row isn't really in this one. We're gonna go basically right into that assisted gunslinger where we catch, or not assisted gunslinger, just a regular gunslinger where we catch that kettlebell. So the kettlebell is out in front of us like so. We're gonna tilt it back. From here, I'm gonna hike it behind me like it's a football, swing up, and I pull back, right? So I talked about it before when we catch this gunslinger, this elbow is back. It means everything now when we do this swing. Because what people like to do with a kettlebell clean when they're swinging it is they make it one long swing and then catch on their shoulders. And as you can see, if I do that every single time, I'm going to bash my wrist. So the gunslinger is your best friend. So let's review it again. Kettlebell's out in front, it's tilted back. We're going to hike it back and we pull in, okay? This kettlebell swings up to my belly button and then I pull in. Swings up to my belly button, I pull in. And then to restart it, what I do is you'll see is I'm going to punch this kettlebell out into the swing, elbow stays in. Punch out, swing, elbow stays in nice and tight. Again, this kettlebell is off to the side. It is not in line with my belly button. Wrist and elbow are in line, and my wrist is nice and tight against my ribs and kind of the top of my hip bone, all right? From there, we basically take exactly what we just did and repeat it, right? So I did my gunslinger, hold for a second, assisted clean, and then from there, I can swing, get my other hand in for just a regular assisted clean, and then when I start to feel comfortable, I go right into that clean. Again, the steps are exactly the same. The gunslinger is really the one that's going to matter because now we have that swing, and that is where people tend to mess things up, all right? Again, it is why I recommend if you are new to this, start on the ground. The less moving pieces we have, the less likely things are to go wrong. But once you do get into the swing, that gunslinger is your best friend. I've said it 10 times now, up to the belly button and then pull in, right? The gunslinger is different than a single arm swing, and that is important. Now I'm gonna go over one last thing when it comes to the swinging clean because this is something that people tend to know me for. It is stupid, it is funny, but in all honesty, it does work and it tends to change people's cleans a lot. A lot of times with beginners, what I see is they are swinging their cleans like this, where their thumb right now is pointed towards you. And now we can do that, but remember what I said before is we want that kettlebell to rotate around our wrist, not flop over. So I'm experienced enough to where I can do my cleans like this without bashing my wrists and forearms. But when you're new, it's going to make it difficult. So what we are going to do is on this backswing, we are going to imagine we are sticking our thumb in our butt, and then we bring this kettlebell up. So again, thumb in the butt, and then we bring the kettlebell up to this rack position. It's stupid and it's funny, but again, I say it because it works. When I take my thumb and imagine I'm sticking it in my butt, and then I go into the clean, my hand is rotating to then bring this kettlebell into the front rack position. And like I said before, the kettlebell rotates around the wrist, it doesn't flop over the wrist. So that is something that is very important, and I want you to keep in mind when doing your cleans. That cue works all the time for people, and for obvious reasons, it sticks with them in every way. Guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope you got some good information out of it. If after watching it you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop a question in the comments below and I'll be more than happy to get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, if you're looking to build functional strength, conditioning, and mobility using kettlebells and your body weight, then go ahead and click the link in my description to get 75% off their first 4 weeks of training. All you need is 40 minutes a day, 4 times a week, and the best part is you can do it at home. And if you are a beginner with kettlebells, you get access to an 8-week beginner program with that membership. Again, thank you guys for sticking around, and as always, I'll see you next time.